to the Dr. Jane Live Miracle Medicine on a Thursday. Today we're talking about the field of consciousness and the Akashic field, the morphogenic field, the universal field of wisdom. And these are all terms for existential reality. So I'm going to be differentiating specifically the experiential reality of the dual world that we live in versus the existential reality, which is embedded in the field of consciousness. And there are many researchers who have researched this field, including ancient Eastern philosophies and including modern day quantum physicists. So it's not a maybe anymore, including also medical doctors. So it's not anymore a maybe. I think there's definitive information, conclusive scientific research, peer-reviewed, which support this. And I'm going to share with you examples of this existential field. Rupert Sheldrake did post one of his documentaries recently in our WhatsApp groups, talks about the morphogenic field. He's a biologist and he's talking about biology and DNA and the existence of patterns in the morphogenic field. Similarly, Irvin Laszlo speaks about the Akashic records, the records of all our memories, memories of all existence. And the field of universal wisdom, where all of consciousness is, which holds all the memories, which knows everything since the beginning of existence. And that is where I operate. Try to most of the time, but when I'm in peace and I'm centered, and anybody for that matter, we all have access to it. I just realized that that is where I'm going to get my true wisdom without a doubt, definitively. And when I'm working with my clients, it's never wrong. When I'm working with my mind, which as far as I can see from my experience, the evidence and the research, the mind is a receptacle. It's a two-way feedback channel, if you like. It doesn't store the memory. The memories are stored in this field. And how we know this is because some of these memories in the field are trapped in the physical body, in the skin, in the muscles, in the circulation, in the bones. And people will come in expressing disorder, irregularity, dis-ease in various areas of the body. And yes, we can apply, let's say, the skin, expensive lotions, do huge acid peels on our skin. We can get in the sauna. We can eat well and exercise. That's all fine, but the skin's problem still persists. And I often say to people, you can cover my desk in all these topical and oral products, but unless we've got to the root cause beyond the physical, we haven't connected with consciousness. We haven't connected with the memory that's stored there. And that memory is the epigenetics. It's beyond genetics. So the epigenetics shapes genetics. If you get that. So the genetic disorder is preceded by an epigenetic experience, memory, joy or trauma. And that is a fundamental understanding, what it really means. And that skin memory can be from this, it can have originated this life, but more than likely it's repeated pattern that actually gets stronger and stronger either way. So we're either reinforcing the joy and the happiness and the freedom, or we're reinforcing the sad, the anger, the fear, grief, resentment. And we have a choice. So are we going to choose the sad, unhappy, fearful, anger route, or are we going to choose the joy, happy, free, peaceful route? Unfortunately, fortunately actually, because we're carrying all these memories from eons, since the beginning, since of our existence. Who knows when that is? But even if we take the last 2,500 years of recorded history, imagine how many memories we are holding. It just fans out like a peacock. If you take yourself, your parents, your grandparents, and you just go on a few, there's already a gazillion of people there, all with memories. And as we're born, the blood passes, the DNA passes, and so does the epigenetics. We choose from the field of consciousness where we exist prior to being in a physical form. We choose the memories that we want from the various mothers, fathers, grannies, grandpas, etc., in order to repeat that pattern, to wake up, to clear that memory so that we can move on. Now, this has gone on for eons and eons and eons. Many, many people may be saying exactly the same thing as me. The problem is how to heal that, how to access the universal field of wisdom, the Akashic records, the morphogenic field, how to access the origin of that pattern, that sadness, that grief, that huge shock that made somebody angry, for example, that brought on sugar dysregulation, blood sugar problems, blood pressure problems, inflammation, pain, depression. So we don't want to just talk. We want to know how to heal. And that's what I've spent many, many months doing my doctorate on a multidimensional holistic well-being quantum framework to assist people and guide people to heal. Within a framework, this framework called HIELO, HIELO. There is a play on the words high and low because we do need to work in that consciousness, field of consciousness, which is unified binary. We're happy and sad coexist. In for example, a yin-yang arrangement. And if you spin the yin and the yang, you get a unified field. You don't get two. So that duality emerges. In the field of consciousness of non-locality, non-duality, is where everything is unified. Holistic versus a reductive, separative, exclusive model that this earth existence is based on. We chose it. We chose to come and experience duality and to reunify it at a higher level of consciousness through the opportunities to shift, not challenges, not mistakes, not a situation where it's blame and poor me and why me. We set it up, we own it, we're responsible. To heal from this. And the framework I've put forward is how to heal. And that's what I practice every day with self and with the clients that are coming in. We enter into that and amplify the field of consciousness. We're in it anyway. How do I know that? Well, you can have a premonition, for example. For example, someone comes and visits you, but earlier on in the day, you had a premonition that the same person was going to visit you, and they visited you. How did that happen? Where did it come from? It came from the universal field of wisdom, consciousness. Or you can be going for a walk one day and you suddenly think, I never thought of it like that. That's amazing. It wasn't written in a textbook. Came from the universal field of consciousness where all the answers are, all the memories. So we get into that field. That's where we start resolving, finding the origin of the pain, the trauma, handing the memories back, clearing it, introducing, reestablishing what we've always had, joy, freedom, peace, universal unconditional love. And, that's again what my doctorate is about. It's about working in the field of consciousness, which is scalar wave. It's not a linear wave. It's non-linear. So if you can imagine a torsion field with a golden mean spiraling upwards and an equal and opposite golden mean spiraling downwards, and then this torsion field, like an apple, constantly shifting collectively, because the video that I pointed out and what this is about is that we're in a collective field of consciousness, whether we like it or not. So it's ever evolving, ever moving, and the patterns are constantly being stored. So we always say, be careful what you feed the field, because you're feeding the collective consciousness. And my goodness, if we've got a choice, let's feed it well, constructively, not full of fear, not full of anger, not full of sadness, not full of hatred. Then you're adding to the problem and you're skewing the story. If we can be responsible to feed the field out of our own centered freedom, peace, joy, contentment, out of our own unconditional love, we're able to shift collective consciousness. And imagine there's enough people. You only need probably 10% or less, I don't know, of humanity to shift. So this is where we work with my HIELO framework and with the Holistic Ancestral Orientation processing that we're doing. And it's every single time, it's beyond physical. I have the degenerative clients coming in, and there's an obsession, a mental obsession. This brain, judgment, emotion, blame. And this obsession is with the condition, the disorder. And the story about it is repeated and repeated and repeated to whoever they find. And all they're doing is feeding this to the field. Think about it. And they wearing a groove in their brain and self-believing the construct that they set up, whatever it was. So the problem is we don't have someone there to guide us, to point this out, and generally we don't have a place to heal. That's what I've set up at 365 Healthy by Choice Center here in Bryanston, where we've got a healing sanctuary where people can come and unravel all of this. And anybody can do this. Anybody can ask the field. When I was studying pharmacy way back then, the discord that I came into was a biomedical model that I knew wasn't going to serve me. I knew it was synthetic, toxic. I knew it wasn't a sustainable conscious realm. I knew it was reductive. I knew it was exclusive. So I asked for another way, a more inclusive, holistic way, because as a child, I was, like many of us, but I'm in the garden and I was looking at the interconnectedness of nature, of the stars. And that was my space. That was the intelligence. So, as I said, you ask and you will receive. So this field of consciousness where the patterns repeat, I've actually proved it. So one of my products, the Ormus Gold, which I think you all know, Ormus is the flagship name of my range, the 365 Healthy by Choice range, because Ormus is in the quantum state. It's in the quantum field. It is consciousness. We make it, it's alchemy. And there are many of my YouTubes where I explain more and more about Ormus. And I've shown pictures before of, let's take oranges that were, let's say, this size, the first season. And they just got bigger and bigger and bigger because we fed them the Ormus Gold. The juice became more nutritive, measured by a Brix meter, which measures the degree of photosynthesis. And the higher the glucose content, the higher the nutritional content of the juice, the higher the Brix meter reading. So I've proved that the DNA can change using something like an Ormus Gold, using the intelligence from the field of consciousness. So those oranges had the same DNA, but represented at a higher level each generation. And this is also proven with seeds, because if you feed the seed, each successive generation with seeds, you start getting a higher yield, a stronger plant, and you start growing a more intelligent food for yourself, which has taken a substance from the morphogenic field and accelerated, repeated a stronger pattern. So imagine you take the Ormus Gold every day. That's going to transform you. And scientific research, you can talk about Lynn McTaggart, Bohm. Science has proven Ormus Gold and its effect on the chromosomes and the genetic structure. So these things are not new to me. We've proved it. People who, again, moving out of conventional science, psychology, and moving more into the field of consciousness. If you take Irvin Laszlo and you take people like doctors, Dr. Eben Alexander, Dr. Carl Jung, they talk about near-death experiences. And in particular, Irvin Laszlo speaks about Urban Alexander in hospital, brain dead. In other words, the EEG flatlines. And the person comes back, knows they've experienced consciousness beyond the earth, and is able to recount their story. So even the medical profession is moving to an understanding that there is an existential reality, put it that way. So again, it's not maybe, and the patterns are there. And day after day, I do the Holistic Ancestral Orientation processes, and we deepen into the field of consciousness, and people find the origin of the trauma. They clear the memory and come back, and they have shifted. They shifted at that turning point, at that quantum collapse, and they experience freedom. They tell me. Often it's beyond words. And that's what the ancient Eastern philosophers will tell us, the ancient Taoists, the ancient Buddhists, for example. It goes beyond words. So modern day quantum physicists are able to measure this quantum field into consciousness, but not beyond words. Put it that way. They've simulated the quantum collapse. Can you believe it? That is the 0 point. But we don't know at this stage, in terms of our intellect and our development, what's beyond the 0 point, but there will be. So very exciting, because I'm backing up what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis with science, with evidence, with experience. And I can see people shift. They just look differently. The life force is palpable, observable, and they know it too. So just think of our human potential if we feed this field positively and clear away the obstacles. I call it lifting the handbrake. And it extends to even our businesses, even our jobs, because we are only as strong, as capable as our mental construct allows us, our consciousness. So imagine if we delve into existential reality, the real reality where the memories are, and we able to separate the mental construct, the experiential reality that we believe is reality. I mean, I'll give you an example. A lady today, I've been observing her. She didn't start off as my client at all. She came to me with some sort of a protocol, and she asked me to do certain things for her, for which I asked her to sign, because it wasn't how I operate. I wanted to observe. And over the 3 weeks, I've observed. And this lady has got thinner and thinner. She wasn't doing anything of mine. She asked me to do something for her. And more shriveled and more life force just disappearing in front of me. And she keeps saying to me, but I'm so happy. And the minute I say to her, what are we going to do about your mother? She says, yes, my whole family, and she starts crying and everything. So we know that the existential reality is playing out here, but she's in a mental construct where she's in a false sense of safety, a false sense of belief that she's okay. So this brain is working 100% of the way, feeding her information that she's okay. Just can't be. So I put her on my quantum skio, the Apex, which is the new software, new devices, and I showed her. Her oxygen was sitting at 60%. How can anybody function, especially if you've got degenerative tissue growing in you, at 60% oxygen? We need to be over 85% minimum. So I could see that her protocol wasn't serving her, that she was being a martyr, telling herself that she was fine, but actually she wasn't, knowing that there were emotional issues, unresolved, handbrakes, blaming, why me and all this, not taking responsibility, not being mature about it at all, but stuck in her mental construct that wasn't serving her, but she was convincing herself it was. Then you can't argue against the facts. So the EPIC software from the computer connects with your subconscious. And that's how it works. The field of universal wisdom. And it comes back, very cleverly put together by Professor Desiree Dubonnet. in front of us. So we can see, we can make sense of it, and we can also, via the electromagnetic field of the quantum field of the software, heal and get a rectification level. So I'm doing this in the existential field with my holistic ancestral orientation work, my HIELO work, and when I'm sitting with people. But we also have definitive software that's confirming it all, and it does. It's so amazing. So anyway, that's for another discussion. But I'm just saying, she couldn't then argue with facts. So other things to look at what they've proved is people who do crosswords. So the day the crossword comes out, because people send in their answers. Let's say there's 80%. Let's say there's 60% of people are getting the crossword 100% correct. The next day, 70%, the next day, 80%. It gets easier. That is the collective consciousness, and that's proven. How come when I come home at different times in the day, my dogs are waiting at the gate? They get up from wherever they are and they go to the gate. How come? Collective consciousness. Even the dogs are in the field, obviously. So it's undisputed. The proof is there. We are all connected from a quantum physics point of view, a quantum medicine point of view. We are entwined and entangled. Let's feed the field properly. And the Chinese talk about the gut as being the second brain. When I'm working with people, this brain full of doubt, emotion, judgment, irrational, goes out the window. We work with the heart and the gut. And that is our centered point. Ancient cultures also have known about our connection to our ancestors deeply, very deeply, and the ancient Eastern philosophy as well. And your trauma affects me, my trauma affects you. Your healing affects the collective consciousness, as does mine, as does anyone else. So when you overcome fear and you walk out with courage, you've affected the field positively. Imagine people shedding all of this. Things like in the experiential world, this world of duality, locality, we hear, versus the non-locality, unified binary, existential, real field. We are distracted. We are faced with financial things, home life, education, the world, food growing, the environment, environmental pollution, and all these things of duality. And it's about not getting stuck in that. These are ways and opportunities to shift into deeper consciousness through an awakening. These things can't serve us. They are there to live the life here, but they are not natural laws. They are not rules. We need to work from the field, within the field of consciousness, in the flow. The Taoists call it Wu Wei, path of action but no action. Path of least resistance, no resistance. That's the flow. So if you are at a crossroads and you are resisting everything, blaming everything, unhappy, can't sleep, not breathing properly, the world's falling in on you, here's an opportunity to resolve that, to clear that, find that origin and resolve that memory and bring peace to yourself. And to really, really shed that. I had a lady today, 4th visit. She came to me, she was on a whole lot of Schedule 5, 6 medications. Also microdosing. Just completely scattered. And it went from one topic to another topic, back to this topic, back to that topic. And she started again today. Anyway, I sat through a little bit of it. And then she started saying to me that my products caused her to break out in anger. So she stopped them. So it was again a blame situation. I mean, I really don't know how a nutrient in the quantum field, my DMSO, the plant tree sap, straight from the plants, it's in the quantum state. The DNA is intact. The intelligence of the plant is intact. The frequency in the field. These things heal. Just have to look at them or breathe them and they're going to heal you. You take the oxygen. We're breathing it. It's in the quantum state. You take my probiotics made by natural organisms that are in the quantum field. How are these things going to cause anger? My brain field, for example, these are just examples. There's 30 nutrients here that are all grown in the quantum field. So I realized she was just kept on, there was a big handbrake and she just kept on blaming something new. So I explained all this to her. And then we went back to where this anger was, where it started and all the rest of it. This lady has had, I don't know how many big major falls where she's broken hips, broken these major bones. I mean, shattered herself, but serious things. Like where a hammock falls in on her, but the pillar of the hammock actually hits her as well. Terrible. And anyway, so knowing all of this and crying and everything, anyway, we went into that field and I just guided her until we found the peace. And we worked at the origin of it as well, cleared that memory. And she was like talking cheese. She was talking a different language by the end of it. Calm, peaceful. We actually rebirthed her. So it's patience and allowing that person to achieve access to the field of wisdom. She did it. She self-transformed. And she owns it. Now imagine all these years, what she put back into the field today. Enormous. Conventional psychology can't explain this. What I do want to share is that we set it up, we own it, we're responsible. And the fact that our mom or dad or granny or grandpa never cleared it, well, we have the opportunity, the grateful opportunity to clear it. Not only for us, for them and the world. And this quantum field constantly teaches us. Nature teaches us. Carl Jung, another example of huge near-death experience. The EEG flatlined as well. And this really, really did alter his perspective on mysticism. So what we are doing the whole time is we've still got the same DNA, but as we shed, as we transform, as we metamorphosize, morphogenic fields, as we metamorphosize, we are presenting the DNA differently at a higher frequency. And the butterflies and caterpillars show us this. Nature teaches us the seeds year after year. That caterpillar eats and eats and eats the leaves, spins that cocoon, metamorphosizes at the right time, the same time every year, and out comes the beautiful butterfly. Same DNA, different representation. Metamorphosis. That's what we are doing at the quantum collapse, at the turning point. We are shifting from stuck to freedom, from sad to joy. And there's many other scientists. Bruce Lipton talked about embracing the immaterial world. As I said, people have shared their experiences that the reality exists beyond the material world. And as I said to you, if we visualize ourselves as a torsion field, we get a good picture of a sphere that's infinite. There are no boundaries, actually. Like a white blood cell. When I see that under the microscope, that's amazing. Well, everything in us, all our cells are torsion fields. All our organs, our DNA, our genes, they're all torsion fields. So imagine the distortion when we get dis-ease. All of this leads to our well-being. And at the end of the day, that is my focus. So when people come, their well-being is the focus. I'm sharing with them what they need, not what I think they need. There's a very, very big difference. You tell me what you need, and we'll go with that. And as we uncover more, you deepen into what you really need. So that's where I'll partner you and guide, but not own it. Some people are shattered when I say to them, I'm not going to heal you. But now the lifeline's been cut. I say, you are going to heal you. Physician, heal thyself. I'm not in your shoes. I can put opportunities out there for you, products to heal, stories. I can show you on the quantum devices what the facts are. But it's up to you. And I don't have a time frame. I don't have an expectation because I don't know. See? So if we're working with that, then I'm working with in the morphogenic field with, a consciousness with holistic well-being in mind. Rudolf Steiner talked about the reductionism versus the all-encompassing inclusion and holism, and the movement from stuckness, sadness, fear, and anger, for example, resentment, moving to joy, happiness, freedom, peace, and unconditional love. And it can't be described, actually. The peace that someone experiences at the 0 point can't be measured, therefore, at this stage yet. So the role of biology and DNA and our own holistic evolving well-being consciousness is important. My HIELO framework is what it's there for. Holistic, integrated, epigenetic life orientation. So we've got a high and a low. And we're bringing that in, we're clearing the epigenetics so that it's in unified, binary, non-locality, existential reality. And I've brought to the world a rebirth of holistic well-being consciousness, highlighting the importance of consciousness at the 0 point of the unified field. And in terms of the discord that I felt as an up-and-coming young pharmacist, and that, discord that I was born into, I've enabled to turn that around and share it. The nutrients that I have in my 365 Healthy by Choice range are testimony to this. And just to say, because they're in the quantum field, VMSO, Almost Gold, Oxygen, Microbiome Reset, Live Probiotics, a brain filled with 30 nutrients that are all grown according to certificate of analysis specifications, all with the DNA intact, the intelligence intact. They are working in the quantum field, physically, neurologically, emotionally, and spiritually. So they're working to reinforce your shift. So let's work on the patterns and accelerate those patterns of joy, freedom, peace, unconditional love. Let's feed that to the world. And but working on self first in order to do that. And that centered, peaceful, conscious being that we are. And that's what I wanted to share today. So that's my work. You can book appointments. You can come and see me. It's fun. And I remember one of my friends reminds me always. She said, Jane, you said you were going to clear the world, clean the world, clear the world. And I must have said that to her one day in consciousness. And I would say, yes, that's true. So let's keep doing that. To those of you who, work with me, thank you for coming in always. I know you're always there. I don't know if you have questions, but let what I've said sink in. Check your old language. Check the blame. If you're blaming, you know you're reductive. You know you're in the experiential world of duality. If you're accepting responsibility and you want to shift, then you know you're working existentially. So with that, I'm going to end. I think there's something getting written there. Let me see. Absolute pleasure. Let's take this and go beyond and deepen into our own path, our own wisdom. Have a good time.